in a traumatic condition of the whole world, we being inside our home will discuss about the microbes which is devastating the whole world. আজকে আমরা সমগ্র বিশ্বে যে আতঙ্ক দেখতে পাচ্ছি এবং যার কারণ হিসাবে অণুজীবকে শনাক্ত করা হয় সেই অণুজীবের সম্পর্কে কিছুটা অনুধ্যান করব, আমরা পড়াশোনা করব। তাই প্রথমেই চলে আসে এই অণুজীব কি, বা এই অণুজীব কতদিন আগে কিভাবে পৃথিবীতে এসেছিল। সেটা বলতে গেলে পৃথিবীর উৎপত্তি খুব সংক্ষেপে বলতে হয়। আজ থেকে প্রায় 500 কোটি বছর আগে, almost about 500 crores years back, Earth developed from the glowing sun. সূর্য থেকে একটি জ্বলন্ত অগ্নিপিণ্ড বিচ্ছিন্ন হয়ে তার সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল ফোর্স অর্থাৎ তার ঘূর্ণনের জন্য ওই গ্যাসীয় অগ্নিপিণ্ড বিচ্যুত হয়ে পৃথিবীর সৃষ্টি হয়েছিল এবং তা ক্রমশ ঠান্ডা হতে হতে যে পৃথিবীর অবতারণা করেছে তা হলো আজকের পৃথিবী। প্রায় 250 থেকে 300 কোটি বছর পূর্বে এই পৃথিবী কিছুটা ঠান্ডা হয় এবং জীবের সৃষ্টির উপযুক্ত হয়ে থাকে। অলমোস্ট অ্যাবাউট 300 crores years back, it was ideal, it cooled down a bit and it was ideal for the development of the organism. At the initial stage, only helium and hydrogen were the elements present in the glowing chunk of gas, and later on, by change of the elementary particles like electron and proton, and addition of this particle created several other elements like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, iron, and so on. According to J.B.S. Haldane, these elements reacted within them and started to create some compounds, essential compounds like carbon dioxide, water, methane, ammonia, and other compounds. And by reaction of these compounds, these were able to create carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So initially, the organism developed was expected that virus evolved in the world. Though there is no strong evidence about that, and there is debate in between different groups of scientists who came first in the world. And as virus is a simple element, simple substance having a protein coat outside and only genetic material inside, that is either DNA or the RNA. So it is expected that virus is the first organism-like substance which evolved on Earth, and later on by change by change or by mutation from virus, bacteria evolved, which hasn't any organelles except ribosome. And from bacteria, two groups of organisms evolved. In fact, bacteria has got cell wall and cell membrane both, and from that two groups of organisms having both cell wall and cell membrane, the cell that evolved was plant cell, and where only the cell membrane is present and which was evolved from that is animal cell. In this way, evolution of the cell occurred, and from unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms were developed by cell division. Right now we are returning about the microbes. How microbes developed. So it is evident that virus is the first group of substances which are considered as microbes. Though viruses are acellular, which has got a definite cell. Generally, the microbes are categorized into four groups, that is either algae, fungi, protozoa, and bacteria. In place of protozoa, we can write down first bacteria, then protozoa. These are considered as microbes. What are the general properties of the microbes? The general properties of microbes are they are very microscopic, they can develop in any temperature, but it is considered that about 15 degrees centigrade to 28 degrees centigrade is ideal for the development of the microbes. Some of them can grow in anaerobic condition, and some can grow in aerobic condition. They are likely to grow on rotting substances. And they can grow very rapidly when they are exposed in favorable conditions. That's why when a virus or a bacteria enters into the host cell, it multiplies in so much rapidly that it causes danger for the organism. So we are seeing that there are basically 4 groups of microorganisms, but few of the scientists consider virus also as microbes, because these microbes are very much dangerous for us, as we are seeing in case of corona right now. So we'll go to the discovery of the microorganisms. No one can definitely say that at this year this was discovered, but if we consider that bacteria is the first living cell, it was discovered in the year 1675 by Dutch scientist Anthony von Leeuwenhoek, and other organisms came on the scene later on. So bacteria is considered as the first microbes discovered so far. Right now we are coming to the general properties of these microbes. First of all, we'll say about the algae. What are algae? Algae are either unicellular or multicellular photosynthetic organisms. Algae has got the cell wall and chloroplast inside, which helps it to photosynthesize. Algae, few of the algae are considered as protista, and multicellular algae are falling into the plantae category. Unicellular algae are Chlamydomonas, volvox, etc. Multicellular algae are Spirogyra, Chara, etc. Right now we will come to the characteristics of fungi. What are the basic characteristics of fungi? Fungi is either unicellular or multicellular plant-like organisms. Initially they were considered as plants, but according to 5 kingdom classification stated by Whitaker, most of the characteristics of fungi are not similar to the plantae. That's why they were driven out of the group plantae, and they are right now belonging to the different category, that is fungi. What are the basic or significant characteristics of fungi? Number 1, it is devoid of any chloroplasts. That's why they are not photosynthetic in nature. The main component of its cell wall is chitin, or someone pronounces it as chitin. The main component of the cell wall is chitin. Number 3, there may be glycogen, which is a polysaccharide basically present in animal cell, but glycogen is often found in the cytoplasm of fungi, and they may also possess oil droplets. So these are the fundamental characteristics of roof fungi. Example: yeast, penicillium, etc. Some of them are parasitic. Most of them are parasitic in nature because they prefer to grow on decaying substances like agaricus, which is commonly known as banged chata. And often these agaricus are edible also. They are taken as mushroom. Curry is prepared by using mushroom like agaricus. Yeast is an important fungi which is used in baking industry, that is formation of loaf. পাউরুটিতে yeast ব্যবহার হয়ে থাকে এবং পাউরুটির যে porous condition of the loaf is created by yeast because it produces carbon dioxide for during its fermentation when chemical reactions occurs to yield ethyl alcohol. So we should take bread by eating it because when the pores gets ruptured, the CO2 is eliminated. Often heated loaf after taking causes formation of acid because CO2 present in yeast being reacted with H2O forms H2CO3 or carbonic acid, which causes acidity after taking of bread. Penicillium is also an important fungi which was discovered by Alexander Fleming, the antibiotic known as penicillin. It was created from the species Penicillium notatum and Penicillium chrysogenum. Penicillin is an important fungi which is used for food processing also. Penicillium camemberti and Penicillium roqueforti are used for food processing. So in most of the cases, microbes are harmful for us, but in some cases they are beneficial also. So that is about fungi. Right now we are coming to bacteria. As we have said already, bacteria was discovered by Antony von Leeuwenhoek, the Dutch scientist, and most probably the first discovered bacteria was Mycoplasma group of bacteria known as Mycoplasma letlae. It is very small bacteria, and bacteria incidentally is belonging to Monera in 5 kingdom classification developed by scientist Whittaker. Bacteria has got some characteristics also. It is prokaryotic in nature. Prokaryotic in nature. nature. Karyon means nucleus, pro means primitive. The nucleus present in the bacteria is primitive type. Why? We consider generally in case of nucleus having nuclear membrane, nucleolus, nuclear reticulum and nucleoplasm is a compact nucleus. But if some of the components absent, then it is considered as not ideal nucleus, which is known as prokaryotic type. So generally the cells are divided into two basic categories. Right now it is considered as three basic categories: prokaryotic, eukaryotic and mesokaryotic. The cell having no ideal nucleus is called prokaryotic cell or prokaryotic nucleus. The nucleus is considered as prokaryotic nucleus. Where ideal nucleus, as I have mentioned, the components of the nucleus present is considered as eukaryotic nucleus, as it is found in higher organisms like us and all other organisms, other group of plants, etc. And the third one is mesokaryotic nucleus, where the nucleus is ideal but it divides directly during cell division, as it is found in gymnodinium and peridinium. So bacteria is a prokaryotic type of cell where ideal nucleus is absent. It is possessing both cell wall and cell membrane. It is possessing both cell wall and cell membrane like this. So we are saying that bacteria has got some general properties, like it is prokaryotic in nature, it is possessing cell wall and cell membrane, it is devoid of major organelles. Except ribosome. The ribosome of bacteria is 70S type, which has got two subunits. One is 30S, another one is 50S. It can grow in different varying temperature, like it can grow in some are hyperthermophilic, some thermophilic and fewer mesophilic. Those which stay in low temperature are called psychrophilic bacteria. So they can grow in different temperature. And as we have said already, it hasn't any definite nucleus. So the nuclear material remain free within the cytoplasm. That is basically the genetic material is known as DNA. And in some cases the extra DNA may be present, which is known as plasmid. A mitochondria-like structure may be present within cell wall as infolding is known as mesosome. Mesosome helps in respiration. The genetic material is formed by non-histone protein. The genetic genetic material is formed by non-histone protein, which is acidic in nature. The vacuole is basically absent, and often some extra DNA may be present, which are known as plasmid. Another one is episome. This episome is antibiotic resistant. So this is all about bacteria, the general characteristics of bacteria. Most of the bacteria are harmful in nature. Some beneficial bacteria is also present, like lactobacillus, which helps in formation of curd in sweet sauce. So these are the general characteristics of bacteria. And in case of fungi, we can mention that often they possess a thread-like body. These thread-like body are known as hyphae or hypha. Hyphae is plural, hyphae is singular, and when the hyphae are getting aggregated, they are collectively known as mycelium. Mycelium. Depending on the staining capacity of the bacteria are of two categories. One is gram positive, another one is gram negative. The gram positive bacteria are those bacteria which, when stained by gram stain developed by scientist Christian Gram, by the mixture of potassium iodide and crystal violet. Few of the bacteria, when stained with this gram stain, will retain the stain after washing with the help of absolute alcohol or acetone. These are known as gram positive bacteria. Most of the Streptococcus and Staphylococcus bacteria are gram positive bacteria, but in some cases which when stained by gram stain and washed by absolute alcohol or acetone, the stain gets abolished or vanished. These are known as gram negative bacteria. like Proteus vulgaris and E. coli. So these bacteria or the gram-negative bacteria can be stained by contrasting stain like saffron or eosin. So these are the general properties or general types of bacteria. Right now we will discuss about protozoa a bit. Protozoa are basically unicellular organisms. Those are eukaryotic in nature, and some of the protozoa are very much harmful for us, like malarial parasite, that is Plasmodium vivax. It has got 4 species: Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium ovale. Among these 4, Plasmodium falciparum is the most dangerous one. It is known as, the malaria caused by this parasite is known as malignant malaria. It is often deadly when care is not taken at proper time. So, few protozoa are very much deadly for us, but the organism which is devastating the whole world right now is the virus, though it is not considered as organism, but few of the scientists may consider it as microbes. Virus is a peculiar type of substances which is living inside the host cell only, but outside the host cell it is non-living. So it is called as a biological surprise. What are the living and non-living properties? First of all, we are coming to the non-living properties of virus. Number 1, it is acellular. Specific cell structure is absent. Organelles absent, as it is not a cell in fact. Organelles are absent. Cytoplasm is absent. Number 2, it is very minute and can be observed only in electron microscope. It is observed only in electron microscope. It is so minute, it can pass through the whole of the filter paper. It can pass through the whole of the filter paper. Number 4, it can be crystallized by heating, by application of heat. Cannot reproduce outside the host cell. Cannot reproduce outside the host cell. So these are the non-living properties of virus. Right now we are coming to the living property of the virus. Number 1, the main character which is possessing that it can reproduce inside the host cell. It can reproduce inside the host cell. So when it is entering in a man, it is developing rapidly and causing danger or creating diseases. Number 2, it is possessing protein covering known as capsid. It has a protein covering known as capsid and genetic material or nucleic acid like either DNA or RNA. Most of the plant viruses possesses RNA. Most of the animal viruses possess DNA. But there are some exceptions also, like HIV, polio, influenza. These are basically RNA containing animal viruses. Again, cauliflower mosaic virus, though this is a plant virus, it should have possessed RNA, but cauliflower mosaic virus or CMV possesses DNA in place of RNA. So these are the exceptions. So it is seen that it possesses protein and nucleic acid. Those are present basically in organisms. Number 3, it has got fast rate of mutable capacity or mutation is found within virus. Mutation is found within virus. So these are the basically living properties of virus. Right now the virus corona is spreading all over the world and causing havoc. So we are ending the class for the day.